Go.
Welcome to class number 5 of our 16 class driver ed program. Class number 5 is going to feature a lot of main road driving, and we'll be mixing in a series of left-hand turns at traffic lights. Left-hand turns at traffic lights. Remember, the first car that enters the intersection must stop before the traffic light and wait for any oncoming traffic. As we pull up behind this Tahoe, we're going to keep a safe distance. And we're going to wait for that light to change. We're going to watch the traffic that's coming towards us. When you make a left-hand turn at a light, turning into a road that's more than one lane, make sure you go into the left lane. Oncoming traffic goes first. Hand over hand, and we swing it right into the left-hand lane. Intersections are where many accidents occur because people do not pay attention as they're approaching the intersections. The next intersection we'll come to is a double turning lane intersection. So if we are in the left lane, we can turn into the left lane. If we're in the right lane that's turning left, we can turn into the center lane or the right lane. Noticing that this is a photo enforced light, so we're going to put ourselves right here into the left-hand turn lane, looking at the road as you see the dotted lines that guide you, because sometimes it does get a little confusing, and you guys know that already. Approaching these intersections, wondering, which lane do I go in? Which lane do I go in? Well, make sure that you go in the proper lane because you don't want to cut off another driver. Now, if you were to be sitting in the left turn lane that's on my right, you would have to be alert and aware that the driver that's in the lane that we're in now might just come straight across because they want to make a right turn. This truck is getting a mite bit close. So that was too close for comfort. But when everybody learns the proper ways to make their turns, it just makes things flow much smoother. Understanding the rules of the road, who has the right of way. As we look ahead of us, we will see the cars coming towards us. They will go first. There's 2 turning lanes there as well. There's 2 lanes going straight and 1 lane that just turns right. Actually, we got the green arrow first. That was very nice. Anytime you get an arrow is what they call a protected light. And a protected light means that you should be the only one moving. Notice how we're looking well ahead now, and we're approaching a green light, but the next light was red. So I had my foot off of the gas, over the brake, and I was just planning on coasting to get there. Emergency vehicle in the area as we look around, wondering where it's coming from. When making left turns at traffic lights with the aid of a green arrow, it's always a lot easier. There's always going to be times when you're going to make lefts at lights and there are no arrows. So when there's no arrow, then it makes things a little more difficult. So we get ready to signal and check our mirrors and move over a lane. We actually want to go 2 lanes, but you should never go 2 at a time, always 1 at a time. I'll be making a right turn at this next traffic light. As we focus on the sign on the right telling us it is a photo enforced light. So we're going to slow it down, make sure we're not going on a red light. Again, always with the hand over hand motion. The next light that we will be coming to make the left turn at the light, it's a few lights up, but it does not have a green arrow. So if there's no green arrow, then you have to wait for any oncoming traffic. The best thing to do, if you are the first car only at the light, is to inch up and stop back behind where you can still see the traffic light. As long as you can see the light, now it's not a religious thing, but you just want to be able to see the traffic light. If you can see the traffic light, you'll know when it's going to change, because if you're in the middle and it changes, you still have to go. Noticing the lane we're approaching is for left turns. So we will enter this lane. We're going to inch up and make sure it's safe. And then we're going to continue and finish our left-hand turn. Watching the way the road is curving sharply to the left, we want to keep the car to the right. So let's review a little bit of what we've done to this point. We learned how to make proper turns on side streets with correct full stops at all stop signs. We learned the different rules and regulations of the right-of-way. We threw in a few 3-point turns, which again is one of those required maneuvers on the road test. See, as I'm approaching here, my eye caught baby and stroller. So I'm going to wait and make sure it's safe for them to cross. I'm going to inch up, make sure it's safe, and finish our turn. Noticing the flash up ahead. That flashed a lot there. Somebody got themselves a little red light camera ticket. Now this time we'll make the left at the light, and we're going to do it from the outer left turn lane. Again, if you recall, Whenever you make a left turn at a light from a double turning lane, when you're in the inside lane, you go in the left lane. When you're in the outer lane, if the road has just 2 lanes that you're turning onto, then you go into the right lane, pardon me. If there are 3 lanes that you're turning onto, you have the right to turn into either the center lane or the right lane. But again, as we said before, watch out for any cars that are in the left lane that don't realize that there is 2 turn lanes and they might just come straight across. Very popular place on the right up ahead is the Home Depot, Home Center, and you just might see this person on the left from New Jersey that doesn't realize and knows where the Home Depot is and may cut right in front of us. So you know what? We're going to prepare for that. Taking it all the way to the right lane because again, always go into either the center lane or the right lane when making the left from the outer left turn lane. Keeping a distance behind the vehicle in front of you where not only you can see the road, but it's always best to be able to see the light above the vehicle in front of you. In this position, even though there are 2 lights to the side, I can see the light above the vehicle in front of me. That gives me a much better distance between myself and the vehicle we're following. Remember to always look ahead, and if you see somebody step on the brake, take your foot off of the gas. There's no point in accelerating to come to a stop. Be changing lanes. Again, whenever you're going to change lanes and you need to go over 2 lanes, do 1 at a time. Don't be aggressive in the way you move the steering wheel. Another left-hand turn with a double turning lane. So we know what lane we're supposed to go into. Keeping far enough back where we can see the traffic light above the vehicle in front of us. Anytime you make a left, make sure you go into the proper lane. Oh wait, there it is over there. That's where I gotta go. That would be considered a big mistake because we made a left turn and we went directly to the right lane. Anytime you're going to make those turns like that, always end up in the lane that you're supposed to be in, establish yourself in that lane, and then change lanes safely to where you want to go. Never make the left like that from the inside lane and go all the way to the right lane. That would be considered a big mistake. whenever you see somebody in front of you step on their brakes, instantly take your foot off the gas pedal. What's the point of accelerating to come to a stop? Looking ahead, you see the way the road is about to curve sharply. A lot of mistakes happen at this particular intersection here because people in the lane that we're in now want to make a right at the next light. So always plan things out ahead of time. If you know where you need to go, then get into the proper lane ahead of time. Don't be in the left lane if you know you need to make a right. And be careful, watch the guidelines. Those dotted lines in the center that separate two lanes of traffic moving in the same direction. Keep yourself in between the lines correctly. If you stay in between those lines and the drivers around you stay in between the lines, everybody can get where they need to go safely. It is possible to drive accident-free. It's just going to take a lot of work on your part. Now here, even though we're technically going to make a left here, you don't need a turn signal because it really is the only way the road goes. Cannot make a left right immediately at this light. It'll put you right into the oncoming lane of traffic. So you just kind of follow the road as it curves to the left. The only time you really need to signal is when you have a choice. I get students all the time that come up to a road where there's an arrow pointing sharply to the right or sharply to the left, and they start signaling. And I'm like, what are you doing? And they said, well, I'm going to be making the right. I got to follow the arrow. I said, true, but you don't need to signal because you don't have a choice. Whenever you don't have a choice, you don't need to signal. When you have a choice, you need to signal. As we look ahead here, on the right-hand side, we see a sign that says right lane ends. So we're aware that the cars in the immediate right lane are going to be merging. How many times I've had students miss that sign and end up in the parking lot up ahead on the right. It just requires observation. You have to see where you're going, what you're doing. This driver on the left is frozen with a green arrow, and the driver behind him wasn't even reacting to the fact that he was frozen there for at least 5 seconds while there was a green arrow. It's a very good possibility that we're dealing with two distracted drivers. Looking to get ourselves over to the right, waiting for this car to pass. I'm going to follow the sign here for South Oyster Bay Road. Kind of buried behind that tree. Don't feel bad, you're not the only one who missed it. look on the right and we see a sign that's telling us that there are train tracks ahead. Remember, anytime you see a yellow sign, you're being warned of something, and in this case, the train tracks. These ones are pretty bad, so we slow down a little bit more than normally when it comes to the train tracks. Good? Okay. So we're stopped here at a traffic light, and we're going to learn about the center left turn lane. It's what they call a shared left turn lane. Now, don't get confused. What this means is if traffic is moving in the opposite direction, they have the right to go into the center shared turn lane to make their left turn. If you're moving in the opposite direction, you have the right to use the center shared left turn lane in order to be able to make your left turn. So anytime you see a turn lane that has arrows going in both directions, that is used for left turns only. So we're going to keep driving here until we can focus on the shared turn lane. We'll try going up a couple of lights and making a left. Now, the danger of the shared turn lane when people don't realize how to use it properly, as we see right here, the danger is that a car could be coming one direction out of a parking lot, and another car could be coming the other direction out of the parking lot, and they would be facing each other. Now here we approach to make a left at a light. We have a green light, but not a green arrow, and we're going to wait for the oncoming cars before continuing our left-hand turn. Again, as we look ahead, we see the shared turn lanes that allow cars to go into and make a left turn. That lane is not to be used as an extension of a turn lane. Too many times you'll see vehicles in that shared turn lane driving down that lane. But then you might see somebody coming from the opposite direction to make their left turn, and then it's very possible that an altercation can start with the driver who feels he's got the right to just go straight down that shared turn lane. It is not for driving down. In fact, I do believe that you're not allowed to drive more than 200 feet in a shared turn lane at any time. Now, the other thing about the shared turn lane that people don't realize is that it does allow you to cross a solid yellow line. You are permitted to cross the solid yellow line with the shared turn lane. Here we have a yellow light, but a green arrow allows us to continue to make our turn. Normally, you would not be allowed to cross any kind of a solid yellow line. And we see you. Saw him from a pretty great distance. Was prepared for him to walk right out around that van. He looked like he was crossing the street. But since we were already at speed limit and he was not in a crosswalk, it was our right of way to continue on. Remember, when changing lanes across more than one lane, always do one lane at a time. This traffic light allows us to make a left turn at the light, but since there is no sign, it also allows us to make a U-turn. So we will be making a U-turn at this light. Now, a U-turn is different than a three-point turn. A U-turn is done in one motion. When you go to make a U-turn, you always use the leftmost lane to start your turn, and you end up in the lane furthest to the right to finish your turn. Be alert and aware of cars that might be making a right at the light, will be turning directly into the lane you're looking to go into. So always be aware of where you want your car to go and what's going on around you. So we're going to wait for the green turn arrow, and that will allow us to make a U-turn at this traffic light. Never do a U-turn too fast. You want to just do it in one motion with the hand over hand turning. You get the green arrow. You move out. You start to turn hand over hand without slowing down into the right hand lane. And that's how you do a U-turn. It's not a required move on a road test, but you will find many times you're going to be making U-turns. Uh-oh, I went the wrong way. Time for a U-turn. Another photo enforced light. So we got our foot off of the gas. I have a question for you. How long is the light the color amber? See, all of you think I'm gonna say yellow, but it's not yellow. It's considered an amber light. So how long is the light amber? In other words, you see that you have a green light, then it will change to amber and eventually red. But the question is, how long is it amber? And the answer is, I'll give you a second. Don't know? Anybody? The answer is that it will vary from road to road depending on, drum roll please, the speed limit. So if you are on a road that is a 30 mile per hour speed limit, that amber light will stay lit for 3 seconds. You shouldn't be going much more than 30 miles an hour, so 3 seconds is enough time for you to come to a stop at a light. On a road that's 40 miles an hour, it's going to increase to 4 seconds. And then if you're on busier roads that are 50 or 55 miles per hour, the faster you're going, the more time you need to be able to stop. So the light will be yellow for 5 to 5.5 seconds. And that's your lesson on amber lights. Everybody thinks they're yellow. They're not yellow. They're amber. We'll be seeing those shared left turn lanes. Use caution if you enter a shared turn lane. It does allow you to come out of traffic into the lane where you want to make your left turn. Do they need to start repainting the lanes here in Nassau County? Absolutely. Because sometimes you can see the lines and see the arrows, and other times you can't. Again, staying back where you can see the light above the vehicle in front of you. If I was up too close, I might not be able to see that light up ahead. So by staying back, you're able to see the light and again, see the road between you and the driver in front of you. Being able to see the road is a safe distance when you stop. We're talking about stopping distance. We're not talking about following distance. That will come up, I believe, in class number 6. activity in these areas. Again, stay back where you can see the road between you and the car in front of you. The other benefit of this particular type of stopping distance is if the driver behind you were to hit you, which happens to be the most common collision on the road, that rear end collision, and if that driver behind you were to hit you, there's a very good chance you would be able to keep from hitting the vehicle in front of you. Obviously, if a driver behind you hits you, it's their fault. But if you slam into the car that's in front of you, then it's your fault. See a sign for road work up ahead, so we're prepared for it. And remember what we said back in class number 2. Watch for any movement. Whatever movement you see, always prepare yourself for what could possibly come from that movement. Give you an example. There's a car in front of you while you're in the right-hand lane. That car pulls over to the right side of the road. What's going to happen next? That's right. He's going to open his door. And do they pay attention when they open their door, or do they just fling it open in traffic? Sometimes they do, sometimes they don't. Be prepared for it. If someone pulls over in front of you, be prepared for them to open their door. Now, we look ahead and we see a green light that's been green for a little while. And it's also got a camera. So we're going to prepare for that. What do we call a light that has been green for a while? In other words, when you look ahead, if you notice that the light you are approaching is a green light, it's considered a stale green light. And when you see a stale green light, be prepared for by the time you get there, that light will change. Let's look above the road now. Let's look at the signage above the road. Those are what they call lane usage signs. We see the one that we're in is going straight only. The one on the right is going straight and making a right. Then we notice that there are 2 left turn only signs. Remember, it's the double turn lane that we've been talking about. If you're in the right lane, you go in the right lane, or the center lane. If you're in the left lane, you go in the left lane. Now we're going to let this truck get way ahead of us because we know it's a photo enforced light, and we're waiting to see if this thing's going to change, and it did not. And now we can slide over here into the left lane. So always be aware of those lane usage signs. You don't see them everywhere, but they're out there, and you got to be alert, be aware, because that tells you what you can do from that particular lane. Okay. Stuck in traffic once again. Welcome to New York. Notice that vehicle on our left that used the shared turn lane as a lane. This is a good one here. You can clearly see the arrows in that shared turn lane. Sometimes you can, sometimes you can't. So the observation time of a driver education program is what you spend in the car not driving. Driver's ed is 24 hours in the car. When 4 students are assigned to a car, then that's only 6 hours of actual driving time per student. The time that you spend in the car without driving is considered the observation time. And it does count towards the completion of the driver education program. Again, the lane usage signs above. Another set coming up at this next light. A lot of lanes up there. Tells you what you can do from each of those lanes. So we're going to use the outside left-hand turn lane at this light. Once we finish making this turn, this will conclude this class. Sound of those turn signals, they can put you to sleep. Like a metronome. here, there are no dotted lines to guide you into the proper lane.